Okay, good morning to all colleagues of Unitrade and REAM. Today we are going to do our usual Zoom webinar training, internal training, and this time we are going to have a talk on BRIFEN wire rope safety barrier system. And to do this presentation for us today, our guest speaker will be Mr. Chn-Hao. He is our technical manager from Bco Ventures Sdn. Okay, before I pass the floor presentation to Tan, let's just see what is the situation in Malaysia currently on road safety. Now, we have a road safety plan which was rolled out in 2014 to 2020. Okay, so the current road safety plan of Malaysia 2021 to 2030 is actually a rolling plan to continuously achieve the goal of reducing death and injuries from road accidents since the commencement in 2014. Now, this road safety plan is actually recommended in the Decade of Action for Road Safety by the World Health Organization 2011 and 2020. Now, there are 5 pillars which forms the overall draft of the road safety plan, namely the road safety management, safer mobility and roads, safer vehicle, safer road users, and post-crash management. So these are the 5 pillars that forms the road safety plan of Malaysia's basis. So what we are going to look today is actually safer mobility and roads by using BRIFEN wire rope safety barrier. Now, according to PDRM statistic, Malaysia has recorded 567,516 accidents in 2019, but it has reduced to 418,237 accidents in 2020. I guess this may be contributed by the COVID lockdown, right? But of course, the fatality rates has also dropped by 25% from 6167 in 2019 to 4634 in 2020. That is actually an average death per day of 12.7. So due to the relatively high rate of death that we are encountering on roads today, so we would actually encourage the usage of BRIFEN wire rope safety barrier to help us reduce this statistic further. All right. So without further delay, I will pass the floor to Tan. Okay, Tan, you can share your screen.
Right. Okay. So good morning. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Goh. Good morning.
Tan, maybe your voice need to be a bit louder.
Okay. Is that better?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. As Mr. Goh mentioned, I will be presenting on the BRIFEN wire rope safety barrier system. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I hope everybody is staying safe in these difficult times. And if there's anything along the way where maybe it's not clear or the picture is not clear, please let me know. Right. So the presentation today is about the BRIFEN wire rope safety barrier system. I will be going through introduction on the system, some videos about the testing that has been done on the system, some pictures on the accidents that have happened with the system, technical information, accident repair, a life cycle comparison with other systems that are in use on the roads today, and some pictures of existing installations. Now, for road barriers, there are various types that are being used. Generally, they are classified as either rigid, semi-rigid, or flexible. So a rigid barrier would be the concrete barrier that we see along some of our highways, especially in KL. where there's basically just a concrete wall next to the side of on the side of the road. So a semi-rigid barrier would be the W-beam guardrails, which is probably the most common barrier being used at the moment. And so BRIFEN wire rope safety barrier is a flexible barrier system. So flexible meaning that you can absorb more energy in the event of accident, reducing the damage to vehicles and reducing injuries to the occupant of the vehicle. Now, it's a little bit of background to the BRIFEN system. This system originally was developed in the UK by British Ropes many years ago. It was introduced to Malaysia in the 90s. And since then, BCO has taken over the development of BRIFEN for the Malaysian market. BCO also owns the trademark and industrial design for the system in Malaysia. And BRIFEN is now a 100% made in Malaysia product. So this is a short video of a fighter jet landing on the aircraft carrier. Now, this was originally the inspiration for the BRIFEN wire rope safety barrier system. As the plane lands, it is restrained by a wire rope going across the deck, as we have seen there. So that was the inspiration. The idea being that if a wire rope can restrain a landing fighter jet, it can also restrain vehicles on the road. So this is just a brief history of the system. So the system has been developed for many decades. It started in the 60s. The development started in the 60s in the UK. And the first version of the system was installed in the UK in 1972. Now, throughout the years, there have been a lot of testing done to comply to various standards, etc., over in Europe, in America, in Australia, to verify that the system is effective. Okay, now this is our local standard, the Road Engineering Association of Malaysia guidelines for longitudinal traffic safety barriers. Now, this standard is generally used to show what types of systems are allowed to be used in Malaysia and also what standards they must comply with. So this standard states that barriers need to comply with NCHRP 350 test level 3, which is an American American standard, or other internationally recognized criteria. Now, wire rope barriers in general are included as an approved system in Chapter 6 of this standard. Now, JKR has recently also updated their ATJ Arhan Teknik Jalan 1/85 also for barriers. Wire rope barriers are included in that standard as an approved system as well. The standard has been approved. I believe it has been published. I think the printing and the distribution has been disrupted by due to the COVID situation. So these are some of the international standards that BRIFEN has been tested to. The first one is the NCHRP 350, which is the American standard for barriers. So BRIFEN is tested to TL3 or test level 3, which uses a 900 kilogram car at 100 kilometers an hour and a 2-ton truck at 100 kilometers an hour. So a 900 kilogram car, you're looking at a small car like the Baroda Asia sort of size. And a 2-ton truck would be sort of like around our Toyota Hilux size. And the other standard is the EN 1317-2, which is a European standard. Now, BRIFEN is tested to the N2 level, which again uses a 900 kilogram car at 100 kilometers an hour and a 1.5-ton car at 110 kilometers an hour. So a 1.5-ton car, you're looking at somewhere in between a Honda Civic to Toyota Camry sort of size. So these are some of the videos of the testing that have been done on the BRIFEN system. So this is a 1.5-ton car at 70 miles an hour or 110 kilometers an hour. So as you can see, when the vehicle hits the barrier, it is redirected onto the road. It does not cross over. This is another video, same weight of car, 110 kilometers an hour, a slightly longer video. So basically, as a flexible system, the system will deflect and absorb the energy of the vehicle. So this reduces the damage to the vehicle and also the injuries to the occupants. if the barrier is more rigid, it would damage, it would transfer the energy will be absorbed by the vehicle rather than the barrier, and the vehicle will have more damage and potentially more injuries to the occupants of the vehicle. So the purpose of the barrier, apart from absorbing the energy, is to safely redirect the vehicle on the road. We do not want the vehicle to cross over, because on the other side of the barrier, it could be opposing lanes of traffic, which may cause a head-on accident, which would be very bad. Or there could also be structures behind, like a bridge or a signboard or something that might cause further damage or injury to the vehicle and the occupants. So this is a test at 110 kilometers an hour of the small car, 900-kilogram car. So again, the system deflects, absorbing the energy. Now, the idea of testing a small car and a large car is to ensure that any barrier that you use covers the majority of the vehicles on the road in a particular country. So this goes from the small car up to the reasonably large car, which would cover most of the vehicles we have on the road in Malaysia. So this is what we call a verge test. This test is actually not required by any of the standards, but it was done to show how the BRIFEN system will react when installed next to a ravine or a drain. So as you can see, the wire ropes control the vehicle. The vehicle did not go into the drain, and it has been successfully redirected back onto the road. Another point is that in all these tests, the damage to the vehicle is also quite minimal, which can also reduce disruption to traffic after the accident, as the vehicle it will be easier to remove the vehicle from the accident site after. So during the accident, the wire ropes control the vehicle. The posts are designed to collapse in one fixed direction, as you can see here. Okay, these are some accidents involving BRIFEN in Malaysia that we managed to get pictures of. The salient point here is that all the vehicles are not very severely damaged, and the occupants of the vehicle are injured, and usually from the pictures standing at the side of the vehicle, checking the damage to their cars. So this, although BRIFEN is tested for cars, in Malaysia, it has also held back heavy vehicles. This is along Middle Ring Road 2 near Gombak, where this lorry carrying cement bags was stopped from crossing over to the opposing lane by the BRIFEN system here. So this is a video from the UK of somebody's dash cam. I assume it's this Max Mix guy. Basically, he aquaplaned and crashed into the barrier along the highway. Now, this is a real life accident. Important thing is that the car was not thrown back into the middle of the road where he may be hit by another vehicle. The damage does not seem to be very severe. The windscreen is not cracked. And actually, after the accident, his wiper is actually still working. Okay, this is accident in Australia, where a semi-trailer truck hit the BRIFEN barrier that was installed along the median. Important thing is that the vehicle did not cross over the barrier, because if it had crossed over the barrier, being a heavy vehicle, it would have caused a major accident. This is other accidents involving heavy vehicles and BRIFEN. So one is in Australia, one is in the UK. So again, most important thing here is that the vehicle did not cross over. Some brief technical information on the system. So in terms of configuration, BRIFEN has 3 different configurations. One is using 4 wire ropes. So 4 wire ropes would be 2 on top and 2 below interwinding, and a 3 wire rope, which has 1 on top and 2 interwinding below, with 2 different post spacing, 2.4 meter and 3.2 meter. Now, you may be wondering why it's 2.4, 3.2, not 2 meters or 2.5 meters or 3 meters or 3.5 meters. But these are the tests. These are the post spacings that were tested. So if we were to change the post spacing, the test result will not be valid anymore. That's why we have to maintain this post spacing. This is just a general layout of the system. So the wire ropes are anchored at the ends to a concrete block. This concrete block is about 1.2 cubic meters. So this will exist at both start and end of every fence. And the wire rope go up and is mounted on the post along the length of the fence. This is a cross-section drawing of the system. As I mentioned, there are 2 concrete blocks at the end, and each post has its own.
Sorry, Tan.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, sure.
I cannot hear you clearly, lah.
Okay. I need to speak louder. Is this better?
It's slightly better, yeah.
Okay, I'll lean closer to my I'm using the laptop mic.
You speak up a bit, or you put the laptop nearer to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks. This is a cross section of the system. So as I mentioned, at the end there is a 1.2 cubic meter concrete block with a steel frame cast inside to mount the wire ropes, and each post has its own concrete footing. Now, one point here is that the posts are not actually just cast into the footing; they are actually slotted into the footing. This is actually for ease of maintenance after an accident in the future. Now, the wire ropes themselves are what is referred to as a 3x7 wire rope, which is 7 wires to 1 strand here, and 3 strands to 1 rope. So basically a total of 21 wires. Each wire has an approximate breaking load of about 1 ton. So an entire rope has a breaking load of about around 20 tons. And this breaking load is a direct tensile test where you clamp the rope in the machine and pull. So in the event of an accident where a car is dragging along the wire rope, the load, the direct tensile load on the wire rope would be less. So actually to date, from our experience, we have never actually encountered the rope actually breaking due to an accident. This is the shape of the BRIFEN post. It's referred to it as an S or a Z section. They are just mirror image. If you look at it from the side, it roughly looks like an S or a Z. Why the shape like this rather than using a round shape is because when it is shaped like this, the vehicle will impact it in this way, and they will all fall in one fixed direction. If you were a round post, some posts might be poking out onto the road, and they may endanger other motorists or motorcyclists that come by after the accident. And the idea of the mirror image is just to ensure that the round edge is presented to a vehicle. So when the vehicle hits it, it does not get stuck or snagged onto the sharp edge here. This is the wire ropes. We have wire rope joints along the fence to provide the tension and also to enable it to be opened up if necessary for whatever reason. So we have a left-hand thread and a right-hand thread, which is used to tighten or loosen the wire ropes. For longer fences, we will have an intermediate anchor. The purpose of this is to ensure that the barrier actually continues throughout the length, however long it needs to, rather than needing to stop and start the barrier again, therefore creating a gap. So by using the intermediate anchor, the system will be continuous. It's only used in barriers that are longer than 1.2 kilometers for one single fence. Okay, the anchors, this is the ground anchor, as I mentioned earlier. There will be a concrete block underneath here, 1.2 cubic meters. In this case, the client has covered it with grass. And another option we have is a vertical anchor. This is only used in very limited conditions, usually at places like toll plazas where the barrier needs to butt up against the toll plaza building itself or the guardrail at the end of it. Accident repair. Now, of course, one very important concern with regards to road barriers is, of course, the maintenance and repair. Now, we refer to it as repair because in terms of maintenance, there isn't actually any maintenance required, as in you do not have to go in and do any servicing to the system. If there's no accident, you can leave it there, it's fine. At most, maybe once every 1 or 2 years, just do a tension check for the wire rope, and that's all. So in an accident, like we saw during the crash test video, usually around 4 to 10 posts will be damaged, but all other components are usually undamaged, which means that the wire ropes can be reused. One of our oldest installation is actually around KLIA. This was installed when the airport was built in the 90s. The wire ropes there are still the same wire ropes from day one until now. We have just been replacing posts when necessary, when there have been accidents. So as the posts are slotted in, so the posts are easily removed and replaced. So it saves time, and also there's no heavy machinery required to pull the post out or to break the concrete or anything like that. And also being that it does not need machinery as low manpower requirements, reducing repair costs. So this shows how the barrier is repaired after an accident. So after an accident, you can see there will be a certain number of posts that are bent. So the damaged post will be pulled out of the slot in the concrete. The new post will be slotted in. The wire ropes will be repositioned in the correct way. The cap is placed on, and the repair is complete. So this is a demonstration we did for JKR. It's 2010, long time ago. It's 2010, long time ago, but it's the system repair is still the same. So you can see the post being pulled out. So this is a concrete footing with a slot. So he's now putting in the dust cover. So the rope is parted. Post is put into the slot. So now he's just tapping it to ensure that the post reaches the bottom of the slot, so we know that the level is correct. So, putting on the cap. Repositioning the ropes. And that's completed. So this took around a minute and a half. So if there were 10 posts, it would take about 10-15 minutes to actually do the repair. From experience.
Tan, sorry, interrupt a while.
Yep.
Do you have a headphone set that you can use, because there are still complaints about the being soft.
I don't. I'll speak loud. Speak louder.
Sorry for that. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
If you don't have it, you just proceed. All right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll speak louder and closer to the laptop. Okay. Sorry. Now. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. The repair takes about 1.5 minutes per post, and so if there were 10 posts damaged, takes about sort of 10-15 minutes. From experience, sometimes it actually takes us longer to set up the traffic management cones and signboard than to actually do the repair. Now, as this repair is not very complicated, we have some of the repairs have been done by either the road proprietors, such as the concession companies themselves, or by their own maintenance contractors. BCO supplies the parts and will provide any training they need or any technical support. If they have a problem, they can call us and we can advise them accordingly. So we have worked with various parties like the G1 contractors for Road 2, East Coast Expressway, and various town councils, as well as highway operators themselves, and road maintenance companies such as Roadcare, Agenta Propel, and PHB Maintenance. This is a life cycle cost comparison. Basically, apart from being safer, BRIFEN is also a more cost-effective system than other barriers that are being used. So this calculation assumes a 1 kilometer installation. So we can look at the approximate installation cost. So guardrail installation would be about 160 ringgit per meter. So it will cost 160,000. BRIFEN will be slightly less, around 140 ringgit per meter. So 140,000. But a concrete barrier has quite high upfront cost, which is usually around 350 ringgit per meter upwards. So in an accident, if 8 meters of guardrail is damaged, it will cost approximately 3,000 ringgit to repair. This price was actually given to us by a guardrail repair contractor. BRIFEN, if 5 posts are damaged, 16 meters of barrier is about 240 ringgit per post, about 1,200. So with the assumption of 5 accidents per year over 10 years, the cost would be 312,000 for guardrails and 200,000 for the wire rope. Now, concrete barrier generally is accepted that there is no repair cost because when hit with normal vehicles, the concrete barrier is usually not damaged. So it's just the upfront cost. But as you can see, it is still quite significantly higher than the wire rope system. So salient point here is that BRIFEN has a over 30-35% lower life cycle cost than other road barriers. Here are some installations of BRIFEN around Malaysia. So this is one of our early big installations. This is around KLIA, the main terminal building. And like I mentioned, this was installed over 20 years ago, and the wire ropes are still original. We have not replaced any of the wire ropes up till now, just a lot of posts over the years. So this is along Middle Ring Road 2 in KL. This is LPT2 East Coast Expressway Phase 2, which goes from Jabor up to Kuala Terengganu. This is in Permas Jaya in Johor Bahru. This is more packages of the LPT Phase 2. This is in Kelantan, in Jalan Ciku Aring, Guamusang, outside. Jalan Kuala Perlis Changlun in Perlis and Kedah. And this is Lebuh Raya Tun Dr. Lim Chong Yu, previously called Jelutong Expressway in Penang. This is in LPT2, Toll Plazas. This is a Toll Plaza at Maju Expressway and Southville City along Plus Highway. This is Second Penang Bridge and the Lebuh Raya Kajang-Seremban Lekas Highway. Grand Sepadu Highway in Klang and Putra Heights in Selangor. This is along Jalan University in PJ, nearby the University Islam. And this is a Jalan Pintas Bandar Muar or Muar Bypass in Johor. These are some installations which we have done for town councils. This is in Pasaran Damansara Indah, which is under MBPJ. This is Scotland Road Penang, which is under Majlis Bandaraya Pulau Pinang. And these are some installations we have done along in housing developments. So international, now BRIFEN is a system that is used internationally. This is in New Zealand, in the UK. And this is along the M23 in the UK, where it's installed along the median. And this is also in the UK, where the BRIFEN is used in the median. So this is a application where the verge test is relevant. So where the BRIFEN system is installed along a causeway or next to a ravine. These are other various installations around the world. And in UK, BRIFEN has also been used along mountain roads. This again is where the verge test is relevant. Okay, that's all. I'm sorry. I think some of my presentation might not have been clear. Is there any section that anyone would want me to repeat?
And they would like to see the crash test again.
Okay, sure. Okay, this is the 1.5 ton car at 110 kilometers an hour. I think 20 degrees, I believe. So a bit more information on the crash testing. apart from just being the vehicle like this, the car is also equipped with a lot of sensors and also a crash test dummy inside. The purpose of this is to measure the loads that a person would experience if they were inside the car, and it has to be within the limits of the standards. The standards will dictate what will be the maximum loads on the head, on the chest, etc., on an occupant per se in the vehicle.
Tan,
Yes.
question regarding the height of the pole. Is there a standard height for the pole, or you can customize it higher? Because it looks like it's about 1 meter, but maybe for a bigger truck, where your center of gravity is higher, it probably when you hit the impact or the rope, it might just flip over to the other side.
Oh, yes. Okay. The height of the rope itself is actually about 585 mm. The adjustment we have is about plus minus 30 mm only. Now, why it is that low is that because this system is mainly designed for cars, so that's why it is designed at that level, because there's a level to catch cars. For heavy barriers for heavy vehicle would tend to be a bit higher, but that would be not so good for cars. That's why we have different standards of the test level 3, test level 4, or the N2, N3, N4 level, etc. But what we have seen in actual experience is that the wire ropes are still able to catch the sort of the wheel level of lorries and all that. And because the system is flexible, the barrier will move away from the vehicle, so it helps to redirect the vehicle. For the vehicle to, so it's quite difficult for the vehicle to sort of topple over the barrier because of the flexibility. It's kind of like if I were walking and I were to kick something that moves away from my leg, I probably won't fall over. But if I kick a step which is rigid and doesn't move, that is when there's a higher potential for you to fall over the item.
There are some questions here, Tan.
Yep.
Okay. Kelvin is asking if there's a test for larger vehicle.
Yes, there are tests for larger vehicles, but generally the design would be different for the systems. Let me move to the. Okay, these are the standards. There are tests for different vehicles. So, for example, in America they have a TL4 which goes up to an 8-ton truck, and for the European standard they have which goes up to a 10-ton truck or 13,000 ton. This would be a lot, sort of a big lorry size already. Generally, systems will be designed for different levels, but most of the time, these test level 3 and the N2 are the most commonly used standards, because the purpose is to cover the majority of the vehicles on the road. The higher test level barriers would end up having to be more rigid, taller, bigger, stronger to stop the heavy vehicles. So they would be less effective, less forgiving for smaller cars, smaller vehicles.
Okay. Any more questions?
Just to get a check, the errant technique has, the last I spoke to JKR, it was in printing. But the problem is that the only way for us to obtain a copy is to buy it from the office in the Ministry of Works, which we are not allowed to do. So we will be getting it as soon as we are allowed to do so.
Okay, just for the benefit of others,
Yep.
Why not you just explain what is this errant technique for?
Okay, errant technique. Okay, basically this REAM, this is Road Engineers Association of Malaysia. It is a guideline, so it is it's more of a guideline than a standard. But this was in use in Malaysia for many years because JKR standard, which is called errant technique, it is their own standard. They have errant technique which covers a lot of anything that they use in their projects. The reason why this REAM guideline was used for many years was because the errant technique was not updated since 1989, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of things that were not covered inside. So they were using this for many years. In 2019, they started a committee to update the errant technique jalan for barriers, to incorporate a newer products that have come along since 1989, such as wire ropes, and there are other systems as well. Actually, I was on the committee that prepared the errant technique jalan. So basically, errant technique jalan would govern the JKR projects in the future. So if the system is in the errant technique jalan, it is recognized by JKR and can be used on their projects, basically.
Okay. And I think another point is that we also need to recognize that there are some other systems, wire rope systems in Malaysia as well, which are actually our direct competitors. Tan, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, okay. In terms of other wire rope systems in Malaysia, there are 2 other systems. So far, they've only been installed around Toll Plaza areas, but not so much on JKR roads and all that, because as far as we know, they do not have the crash testing result, the crash test report. So for more high-speed roads, etc., JKR and all are not willing to use it. In the Toll Plaza situation, because generally the speed should be lower, so I suppose that's why they're being used in those situations.
Okay. So basically, the BRIFEN system is actually type test, which means to say the whole setup of the crash test initially is actually followed and installed accordingly in the current system. That's why the result should be the same as the crash test done, right?
Yes, basically the design that we install in terms of the size of the concrete, etc., the dimension, the post, everything is following what was tested.
Okay, so this system is actually to all the colleagues in Unitrade and Brickview, this system is actually targeted for infra contractors, those who are actually doing roads when they have new projects, when they have road projects. And we have also tried doing conversion because of the cost savings, in a sense that it will attract the contractor to convert from the usually guide rail system to wire rope system, provided the criteria meet, right? And to save costs for the contractors. And this is actually one of our selling point that we have done. And this is where if you have customers who are actually in the road infra works, this is something that you can recommend to. And BCO is also a contractor doing the installation as well. So we can work with them actually on the existing roads that they have, the drawings that they have, so that we can configure what is the system that we can put in with BRIFEN. Okay, let me see. Ryan, you have a question here, Ryan. After accidents where replacement of poles are required, wouldn't the wire rope have lost a certain amount of strength? Okay, this is on the flexibility. Actually, Tan, would you like to explain that?
Yeah, sure. Okay, after accident, the wire ropes generally do not lose the strength and flexibility, because the wire ropes are also pre-stressed at the wire rope manufacturer's place. So it is basically the same principle as lift cables. So after the manufacture, they would stretch it to get rid of all the kinks and all that. So it will not lose any, it will not elongate or lose any of its strength. Similar to like a lift cable, once you install it, the lift goes up and down. The cable doesn't keep extending. In terms of replacements, generally it is more the life of the galvanizing of the wire rope, not so much the actual loss of strength and all that. So And repeat sales would come from mainly repairs and maintenance, so supplies of all the posts and what we call the accessories. There's the plastic cap, the reflector stickers, and a few other bits that go with the post.
To add on to that, Ryan, actually, the rope actually is actually designed in such a way when the poles are down, it is supposed to be elongated, or rather is loose to create the, you know, the to be able to get the vehicle back. So once the pole are replaced and you see they are intertwined and replace that as how shown in the video earlier, the tension will be back. Of course, we can still adjust the tension if necessary.
Yeah, the tension can be checked and adjusted if necessary. Let's see the chat here. The wire ropes are made in Malaysia basically from wire rope manufacturers based on to the BRIFEN specification. Caps and stickers. Okay, the caps are custom design, so yes, it's only from us, but the sticker is a standard 3M reflector sticker.
There's a question on Malaysian authority approval.
Yep. Go later. Later we can post all the information.
Okay.
Yeah, Malaysian authority approval. Basically, it is the of course, the first thing, it is the Arahan Teknik Jalan #1, and then JKR also has a material approval list, which BRIFEN is listed inside as a approved system.
Maybe Tan, you can explain a bit why JKR has more guardrail system than the wire rope because of the Arahan Teknik previously.
Oh, okay. Right. Firstly, there's a lot more guardrail because guardrail is an older system, it's a more established system, and also like Mr. Goh mentioned, the previous Arahan Teknik, which was not updated since 1989, pretty much only mentions guardrails, and I think guardrail and concrete barrier, that is pretty much it now. So for many years, Malaysia was using the REAM guideline, but that depends very much on the consultant, or sometimes the SO doesn't want to follow the REAM guideline. They prefer to go back to the ATJ, even though it's very old. And there was no unified message from JKR as to which they should have followed. So we hope that with the new Arahan Teknik Jalan, that would not be an issue anymore. Ryan said.
No, Ryan, the pole is actually made of this multi plate that was actually specially stamped with our design. It's not actually the pole from Ultraga.
But the post is the hot dip galvanized after stamping.
Yes, correct. Cap and stickers aesthetic only. Okay. Actually, this Tan, you would like to explain the cap and stickers, function of the cap and stickers?
Yeah, I mean the sticker partly is aesthetic, partly is also for
the sticker and cap. I'm referring to Mr. Kelvin's question. Is it?
Oh. Okay.
Okay, I think basically when we ask whether the caps and stickers are only from BRIFEN, yes, because it is made to cater for our pole, all right, and the stickers are actually the general 3M stickers that we cut to the size of the pole that we stick onto. It is not just for aesthetic purpose only, because the stickers reflector is actually a requirement. Tan, you would like to explain on that?
Yeah, the sticker is mainly for visibility. So when you drive at night, it reflects the headlight back, so you can see the line of the fence. The cap is actually there in case of let's say a more exposed motorist like motorcyclists and all that. If they were to fall on it or something like that, the post, it basically covers the sharp top edge of the post.
Okay. Is BRIFEN the only wire rope safety barrier? No. There are two more, as mentioned by Tan earlier. This question from Ryan.
Yep. There are two other barriers, like I said. One is called fence, and another one is not sure what the brand of it is called, but it's by a Korean company.
Korean.
It's from Korea, but both of them, as far as we know, do not have the full independent crash test report. This was actually told to us by JKR people, because when they compile their material approval list, etc., they send out requests to all the people to all the suppliers, requesting a test report, your test data to be submitted to them. And for wire rope, we were the only one who came back to them.
So to add in, since the ATJ has not been updated for so long, and a lot of so-called engineers of JKR has been designing roads based on what they can find in ATJ. Hence why you can see there's a lot of guardrails system that's available. But we managed to actually now separate another item and to itemize this BRIFEN wire rope system as another option in replacement of guardrail. So hopefully more jobs will be specified with these wire ropes. In addition to that, those jobs with are actually currently with guardrail, there is also an option that we can look into and assist in converting into BRIFEN by talking to the related parties. But of course, the first choice is the contractor must be willing to try and is willing to write a letter to the authority so that we can follow up and assist them. Right? Is there any more question that you like to? Tan, do you still have the video on MR2, the lorry?
Oh, the lorry video. Oh, the one quite recently one,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me find it. Share first. I will look for it. Give me a second. Yeah, this was 2018, I believe. This runaway
2020.
lorry crashed into a few cars and then went up the median.
As you can see, despite the size of the lorry or the tanker rather, the guardrail system has managed to prevent the lorry from going across the median.
Yeah, after he took out about this truck and the Myvi and a few other cars.
Yes. Okay. Tan, Ryan has asked for the BQ. Can you share the BQ as well?
Okay.
The
sure.
BQ for wire rope.
Yep. I think after this session, I'll compile everything. Then I'll send it.
Okay. Or would you like to just run through the BQ just for them to see what is normally in the BQ.
Okay.
Do you have it?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
So this is a sample. This was under one of the projects we did under MBPJ. So you just write like this: wire rope safety barrier, 3-rope 3.2 spacing. Needs to be crash tested according to international standard or REAM guideline. And then this is a base for this particular project. They split it up into the anchors, the posts, and the ropes. So this is roughly what one of the BQs that was issued.
Of course, the important point here is the wire rope post S and Z. That is actually with reference to BRIFEN.
Yeah, they can, but of course they cannot put. They are not allowed to put the brands.
Correct. All right. So, any more questions? Well, as you can see, the average accident death on Malaysian road is about 12.7, as I mentioned earlier. So it is our prayer that more of wire ropes can be placed at dangerous positions of the road to help, reduce these statistics.
There's another question from Jimmy, I think. A typical specification table. Do you have something like that?
Specification table. Oh, I think that is covered in the catalog.
Yeah, no, because in terms of specification, we actually only have a few. Is 4-rope 2.4 meter spacing, 4-rope 3.2 meter spacing, and 3-rope 3.2 meter spacing. Just three. It's just three types only. So generally, the 4-rope we will use it on a median if it's a single fence at a median. Most of the time, we actually just recommend the 3-rope 3.2 meter spacing for cost effectiveness reasons. The crash test result actually for all three are actually about the same.
So colleagues, if you have more questions and if you have enquiries coming in from your road infra contractors, please contact me or Mr. Tan, and we will assist you from the specification side right up to discussion and design for your contractor as well. And as well as if the necessity arise to meet the JKR to explain the system, to explain to your consultant, we will be more than glad to help, right? So hopefully this will be another new product that the Unitrade and REAM colleagues can help to push to your contractors. Any further questions before we adjourn?
There's one more.
All right.
You look at the
Can
chat.
go to leave contractors. Can go to leave contractors on this product. Oh, you are referring to Lim, you're just referring to wire ropes then? Oh, I see. No, we are actually not doing that, not selling wire ropes, but actually wire ropes for the road safety barrier system, not just wire rope alone. Do you follow, Lim?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, if none, we will end our presentation here. Thank you all for attending, and we wish everybody safe and well, and hope to see you all